Welcome back, and continuing with our rolling coverage of the election results now.
Yeah.
And so interesting what's happening here. The turnout, of course, is one of the talking points there.
It is. It's always a talking point, and it has been since yesterday, where people were expressing their shock and couldn't actually believe when the numbers were sitting around, almost in the 20% levels of turnout, and that's never ever been seen in South Africa. However, it looks like that has increased up until about, again, latest predictions from the CSI are 48%. That's what they are saying. But in previous years, 57% is what we saw in 2017. So that's one of the interesting points. The other one, and Sakina and I have been looking at the graphics behind us on the board, and this is where we are broadcasting from. It's the Results Operations Center. So all of the things that do come through here with the IEC is what we look at. Now, there's not necessarily this one. If I can ask the camera if they're able to move across to the right-hand graphic. It's a national leading party by wards graphic. So that's the map there of South Africa. It gives you a glimpse. So you can see the three colors that are there is obviously the green, which represents the ANC, the yellow, which represents the DA. But look at the purple. And that's what jumped out at Sakina and myself. The purple is the Freedom Front Plus. So look at their showing early on in these counting times. That's 40 or 11. Is that 14% or 11%? 14%
We're around 12% now. 12%.
Okay, that have been voted. That have been counted now. We've got Professor Mcebisi Ndletyana, who's with us now to talk about this. Does that graphic look as interesting to you as it is to us, Prof?
Quite interesting. Yeah. Normally you don't see FF Plus at that top 5 position, right? It's quite interesting. I mean, it has huge implications for the DA. In 2019, the DA lost about 300,000 voters, and they thought that those were conservative voters. And they then blamed Mmusi, saying Mmusi was turning the party more towards the center, trying to attract black voters, which meant that his message was more neutral. So they thought, let's go back, let's try to regain that constituency by pretty much going back to conservative politics. That is why they got rid of him. They brought back Helen, they elected John. And you could tell with their election campaign that they were really targeting the conservative voters. And now it doesn't look like they've been able to get those voters back. Well, it's still early to tell. You said, what, 12% has
yeah. 12%, so but we can reasonably predict how this is going to turn out.
So I think that DA is going to have a very interesting conversation. If the past is anything to go by in terms of their leaders' performance, there's going to be a lot of pressure for John to explain why he should be kept in his position.
So what was John saying on the campaign trail? John bullied gates, so he opened the wrong gates.
He opened the wrong gates.
Yeah, and the dancing, it didn't pay off.
No, the dancing didn't help.
Let's give it time. Let's give it time. Let's see what happens. But yeah, not looking too good.
If we drill down a little bit more, we saw what happened in the local, the national election in 2019, where we saw, okay, there was a bit of a problem. The DA was starting to have some problems in losing support. But that picture seems to be replicating itself here in the in the local government elections as well. So what does the DA do?
Well, the DA went through a number of substantive changes since 2019. Mmusi left, a number of other black leaders left, and there were a lot of squabbles within. The party couldn't hold pretty much. And John, John, we've just been talking about it, I think, for the last 2 days or so. John is not the kind of person to send out to attract people. He does well, I think.
As a chief whip.
As a chief whip.
In parliament.
Yes. This instinctive, aggressive stance. But if you want him to go on a charm offensive, it doesn't quite do it well. And it gets easily irritated. So, this pretty much explains that. He's not your best person to grow the party, but he's a trooper, right? He defends the party. Perhaps this position might not be best for him.
Let's have a look. We've got some graphics that we're actually going to try and put up and just speak over at the moment. Let's see if we can put them onto the screen. We've got race for votes in some of the respective provinces. We've got the Free State, we've got the Western Cape, and we've also got the Eastern Cape. So let's see what they'll pick up first, and then we can perhaps talk to them in terms of where we're at right now with these with the voting that has come in. Because I mean, these are all important, these different areas and the provinces that we're looking at. I mean, when we talk to the Eastern Cape, as it stands right now, I'm not sure, I don't think the graphic is working as yet, but you know, looking here, 313,000 votes, all in the ANC's favour, the DA 77,000 votes, and the EFF 32,552. Then we get the UDM at 9,000 and the ATM at 8,553. That's just as we're speaking now, quite small. Let's talk to the UDM, because what was it yesterday, Sakina, that Aubrey said to us, Gogo Aubrey? He said the UDM is going to be
what did he call it? A provincial, not even a provincial party, a regional, something to that effect, to which the UDM took offense.
Maybe even a city-based party. I mean, they've always been a
municipal
regional
party.
They've always been a regional party. At Nelson Mandela Bay, for instance, I don't expect them to play well, because there, previously, they had Mongameli Bobani. And the thing about the UDM is that it's been a patron-based party. So it's built around charismatic leaders, from Holomisa even to different parts of the country. So Bobani was their charismatic leader at Nelson Mandela Bay, fortunately passed away. Because of that, I don't think they're likely to go back to council. And this is, I mean, the same thing with the IFP. The IFP has a new president, apparently. But the president is not on the face is not the face of the party on the posters, on their T-shirts. Instead, you have Mangosuthu Buthelezi still being the face of the party. That tells you about the attraction. The party is about Gacha Buthelezi because he's royalty. The party is based on tradition, vanguard of Zulu tradition. So Gacha plays well projecting that imagery. I don't even know what the new president looks like, actually. I don't think many people do, because he's new. He doesn't have the same imagery as Gacha Buthelezi. So these patron-based parties, if you were set up like that and throughout your life you define yourself like that, it's difficult to remove that personality. Because if you do, then the party dies. The same thing with the EFF. I mean, Malema is the latest version of Holomisa, pretty much. If at some point there would be issues about Malema, the EFF, the party, will also dwindle.
But at the moment, they are still growing. They're on an upward trajectory.
At the moment, because they appeal to a particular constituency. They exploit unhappiness, they exploit disillusionment, and they are promising something different from the current system. Most people who feel left out of the system, they can't find jobs, and most of them are young people. So they are very angry at the system. Inequality is growing. They see other people's lives progressing, and theirs have remained stagnant, and so they are bitter at that. Malema speaks to that anger, he articulates it well, which then means the longer the status quo remains or gets worse, Malema's fortunes improve. With South Africa doing badly, that's good news for Malema, because he exploits that bitterness.
We have to take an ad break, but we'll come back. Very interesting discussion, Professor Mcebisi Ndletyana, our analyst, as we continue to see the results streaming in, and of course trying to unpack them and do some projections in and amongst all of that.
All right, we'll see you after this. Stay tuned.